Hey everyone. What I thought about doing was buying a 1x6 board oak and then cut it like a loaf of bread and get these out of it, you see. And what I wanted to do was put them on the floor in a pattern all the way across the whole floor and glue them down and finish it. And I thought, man, that'd look really nice. Well, a 1x6 board, 6 foot long, it cost about 10 bucks to do, you know, to cut it. So I bought that, I cut it down 1/2 inch pieces. I didn't want it too thin to where you could break these. You know, it was like you gotta have some kind of, you know, stiffness to this thing, some strength. So I was like, 1/2 inch would be good. Plus it wouldn't be too high compared to the other floors and stuff. So I put them on the floor. I measured them out to see how much area it would cover, and I come up with, I don't know, about 100 and something pieces, 120 something like that pieces, and I estimated how many square feet it would be, you know, a square foot of this stuff, and then I measured out the kitchen floor and like how many square feet I would need for the kitchen floor. Well, it came out to be $1,500 worth of these things. I was like, no way, there ain't no way I'm doing it. But instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a table out of them. I'm going to put it on and I got a piece of plywood. And here we go. I paid like 10 bucks for this, 10 something for this, and it's like 3/4 inch, and it's a nice, both sides are finished with oak, so whatever I glue it to, it's going to have a nice underneath it. It'll be really nice. And also, and what else I bought was these. They're oak table legs, and these were 6 something a piece, along with the hardware. This hardware, you just screw this into the bottom of the thing, and I wanted you call it a substrate. You just screw it to it, and I wanted to screw it to it. I wanted it to be thick enough to where the screws will grab the plywood instead of one of these if it goes through the other side. And also, you can buy these at an angle. When you put it in there and you screw these legs on, when they're coming out from underneath the table, they could be angled a little bit, whatever way you want and stuff. So I'm gonna put it together, and I'm gonna glue it, and I'm gonna finish it and everything. So the next step is to make a pattern out onto my board, and well, my next step is to sand all these down, because when you cut through any boards or something, you're gonna have like a little bit of a fray, and these aren't gonna fit tight. You know, you put them like this. Even if you put one like this, it won't be tight because of that little bit of you could see it on there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to sand that clean. So that's what I have to do. That's the next step. So start sanding. The last one. It took about half an hour, 45 minutes. And that's it. Alright, I got like a herringbone thing laid out. And I'm sure there's an easier way to do it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these 2 pieces in, and I'm going to get them to where I want them and clamp them down, and then I'm just going to start working my way up, and then because these would be solid enough to work, go all the way up, and then I'll just keep working my way down. And I saved extra pieces for the corners or whatever little holes I got to fill in over here, or I could just draw a line and cut it all the way up. But if I want to cut off these little notches, fill them in, I could do that. So I got a few of them left right here, so that's the next step. Well, I'm here at work, and I've been working on it for a little bit throughout the past couple days, and what I got here, I got it all glued down. Here, let me check it. Let me show you here. And you can see I got the pieces all glued down, and I've been working on this corner here. You can see the little parts, the little spaces. Well, you can see what I've been doing here. I got it all glued down. They're not as tight as I wanted the joints, but I can fix that. And what I've been working on here is cutting the little pieces for this, and then I cut some pieces here. And what I'll do is I got the extra pieces in a bag, and I'll put one under here, and I'll mark it. And then there'll be a mark. I make sure the grain is going different. See, this grain is going the same way. So what I'll do is I'll turn it over, and it has a nice tight fit. I'll put a pencil mark there, and I'll put it in my saw. It's just a process of gluing it all down, and I still have to cut across here, up there, cut that across, and then work my way up the same way I'm doing it down here. And then on this side over here, I'm going to do the same thing over there. So it's just, here's the glue I'm using. Not bad for the first time. And we'll give it a keep on going. Well, I got it all sanded as much as I'm going to sand it, because like I said before, end grain on a board is the hardest grain you can get. Well, I took my palm sander and I started out with 40 grit, 40 grit, which this is a crappy sandpaper. It breaks apart really easily. Then I went up to 60 grit, and this is what I got. It's as flat as I'm going to get it. There are just slight imperfections. You can, if you sit there and feel it, you're going to feel it. But it's looking pretty good, as good as I'm going to get it. I ain't wasting any more time sanding this sucker. I went up to 100 grit, and I was like, I ain't going to go any farther than that, because you can see that sucker is smooth as a baby's bottom. So now what I have to do is I got my legs. What really irritated me about these things, I thought they were going to be cheaper than what they really are. They're like 6 something a piece, and I needed 4 of them, and this thing is costing me a lot more money than I thought it was going to cost. So I'm going to get a board from somewhere, and this might be it right here. I'm going to drill in the diameter of that screw that goes into the top. It fits into the hardware. And I'm going to screw it into here, and I'm going to have 4 of them in there, and I'm going to hang it up, and I'm going to spray it with a finish. I was thinking of staining it, but I was like, no, I'll just give it the natural look, and we'll just go with that. Well, I always use a spray. I don't use a brush on anything. Like I make walking sticks and stuff. I won't use a brush because you get bubbles in your when you brush it on. That's why if I use a spray, it's like so much better. It coats faster. It's so much easier. But I'm going to spray it out here in the open. You don't have to worry about dust floating in the air because it's all been settled overnight. And I'm going to put it back in a box that's enclosed, so I ain't going to have any dust getting on it. As the day goes on, I can keep. I'm going to keep applying coats. I'm going to do a couple coats this morning, and I'm going to let it set overnight before everybody gets here and starts kicking up all kinds of dust. And then the next day I'll do another couple coats on it. So, but you want to make sure you get it even. Go all the way down. It's going to be kind of hard to get in between, but I can get it. Make sure, you know, don't apply too much to get runs, and don't go like this. Don't go in an arc, because you'll get more thicker paint, or you'll get thicker finish here than you will on the end. So always go even. You want to just go even, so you don't. Well, I got the last side put on the edge. And there's a small gap. Let me show you. You can see this little gap right here, and that just bugs me. I can't get it perfect. I didn't have any 90-degree surface to sand with, you know. So what I'm going to do with this, now it made my job even bigger. I got these little 1/4-inch pieces of wood. You can get them in the wood dowel section at like a hardware store or any craft store, and they're square, not the round ones. And I stained them a dark wood. And what I'm going to do now, when this dries, I'm going to come back and use my Dremel. I'm going to use a cutter disc. It's called a cutter disc. And I'm going to draw a line on there. I'm going to put this on there, measure it out, miter the sides, draw the line, and then carve that out and put this down and inlay this down in there. That will cover that hole up, that gap up. That's about it. I'm going to get on that now. Well, I'm going to wait for this to dry, and that's what I'm going to do. Well, it's been a couple days later, and I've been still working on this dang thing. And what I did was, and I bought some of these wood dowels. They're 1/4-inch square. And I sanded them flat all the way down to where I needed. I routed out around the corners inside around the box. Let me show you that. See, I routed this out. I mean, there could have been an easier way to do it. Before I put this on, I could have put this on the table saw and buzzed that out, but nah, heck with it. But I marked it. I put this on there, I marked it, and I used this bit. This is a cutter bit, and I just went down and cut it all out. And then I took these square stock things and sanded them down and put the miter joint on that, and I kept sanding and sanding, taking it out, sanding it, taking it out and sanding it, you know, until it fit down in there all the way around. So now what I need to do is just get it to just a little bit more sanding, fine-tuning those, and then I'm going to stain it. This is Minwax, and then I'm going to glue these in there. After they dry, I'm going to glue them in there. And then I'm pretty much done. I'll just do some fine sanding on it, and I'll spray it with some polyurethane, and that's about it. Now I'll have to show you the process of spraying it, and I guess some little things I got to do to it, but that's about all I got to do right now is just put that stuff in there and spray it. What I got now, I'm going to install these. As you can see, I already have one in there, and these are just to screw the legs into. They were like $1.70 a piece, and what you want to do first is open it. Gotta open it, and fortunately they're square, so it's easy just to put right in there. And then get yourself a drill bit. I made sure this thing was not as thick as the screws. And what you want to do is get a drill bit and put tape on there to know how far you have to drill down for a pallet hole. I like to drill pallet holes. Even though it's plywood, it's not going to split, but I like to drill pallet holes anyways. Make sure you got a dead center when you drill, and go straight down. You don't want the screw to go in at an angle. You always want it to go straight down in the hole, because if you put it at an angle, it'll pull it to the side or something. So change the bit and screw them in. Don't over tighten them. You could use a screwdriver if you want, because then you'll know how much torque you're putting on, and you won't strip them out. But it's plywood; it pretty much isn't going to strip out. But that's and then you take the legs and you just screw them right in. Well, I got it all done. I got it all sprayed. I used a polyurethane. I used a spray can to spray the finish on, because if you use a brush, sometimes there's just too many bubbles, and you'll end up, you have a lot of sanding to do. But if you use the spray can to put your finish on, works so much easier, and it's better. Well, here it is. Oh, there it is. I got the legs all screwed on and everything, and it's a pretty good job. I like it. It's okay. It's not the best, but it's pretty cool. I got this little accent thing I did along the side, but I think it looks pretty good. Not bad. Thanks for watching.